3 days earlier, Redemption Creek had learned what violence truly looked like. The main street, once quiet enough to hear boot heels echo, had been baptized in blood. 15 men lay scattered across the dust, twisted and broken like discarded marionettes, their shadows stretching long beneath the merciless sun. And the man who had done it still breathed. Jake Morrison, known across the frontier as the Reaper, had stood alone at the center of it all. Smoke curled lazily from the barrels of the twin Colts riding low on his hips, his hands hanging loose, almost peaceful, as if nothing remarkable had happened at all. At 35, Jake was honed by hardship, lean, corded muscle beneath scarred skin, a body shaped by war, hunger, and survival. His eyes held the hollow depth of someone who had stared death in the face too many times and blinked less often than most men dared. Powder stains marked his leather vest. Blood darkened the dust at his boots. Every round missing from his gun belt had spoken its final word in thunder. The Blackwater gang had ridden, in believing numbers were everything. 15 strong, mean, confident, certain the town would fold like so many others had. They were wrong. Now every one of them lay dead, and Jake Morrison sat alone in the Silver Dollar Saloon, nursing a glass of whiskey he didn't taste, trying desperately to forget what his hands had done. Behind him, the undertaker measured planks for coffins. 15 of them. His hammer rang again and again, each strike echoing through the stunned town like a funeral bell that refused to stop. What Jake didn't know, what no one in Redemption Creek knew, was that the reckoning wasn't finished. 2 men were still riding. The Crane brothers, leaders of the Blackwater gang, delayed by a bank job 2 towns over, now galloping hard, fueled by rage and certainty, carrying visions of slow vengeance for the man who had erased their family. They had never lost a fight together. They intended to make Redemption Creek remember that. 3 days after the massacre, Jake sat with his back to the wall, eyes fixed on the saloon doors. He never let them drift, never let his guard fully down. The whiskey burned, and he welcomed it, needed the pain, needed something sharp enough to cut through the memories circling his mind like vultures. Outside, the town whispered. Sheriff Matthews had spent 2 days documenting bodies, wounds, statements. The law was clear. 15 men had drawn first. Self-defense was undeniable. But legality didn't erase what people had seen. 1 man, 15 bodies, 7 seconds of thunder. The bartender, Pete, kept Jake's glass full but never crossed the bar. His hands shook. His eyes darted toward the door as if violence itself might step inside next. Through the window, Jake watched townsfolk cross the street to avoid him. Mothers pulled children inside. Shutters closed. Salvation had come, but it wore a face they feared. Jake felt it everywhere. Fear clung to him like dust. He tasted it, metallic, bitter, settling on his tongue. He accepted it. Fear meant solitude. And solitude meant he could drink alone with his ghosts. Every glass reflected their faces, accusing eyes, dead men who had been given a choice and laughed instead. They'd called him old, weak, 1 gun against 15. Then they'd learned. The fight had been short and savage. 7 seconds. A slaughterhouse where men fell atop one another, blood turning dust into mud. Jake hadn't been touched, not then. The cost came later. In silence, in trembling hands, in nights where sleep never lasted. And now, as the afternoon stretched long and golden, Jake felt it again. That tightening in his chest. That warning he'd learned during the war. Death was riding. 2 riders appeared on the horizon as the church bell struck 3. Dark silhouettes against the burning sky. Heat shimmered around them, bending their shapes into something almost unreal. Jake's stomach clenched. The whiskey stopped helping. He told the sheriff more would come. Matthews had hoped otherwise. Jake knew better. 15 dead always meant someone higher up the chain would come asking questions, with bullets. The riders advanced slowly, deliberately. Not boys, not followers. Leaders. One broad as a monument, solid, immovable. The other lean and precise, a predator's grace in every movement. Jake rose, hatting the fear curling in his gut, hatting the weakness in his legs after days of drinking, hatting the tremor in his hands as he checked his guns. 12 bullets. He'd need all of them. The saloon fell silent behind him, prayers whispered, glasses forgotten. Jake almost laughed. God had turned his face away 3 days ago. He pushed through the swinging doors and stepped into the sun. For a moment he was blind. Then he was standing in the same place where 15 men had died. The Crane brothers dismounted and spread apart with practiced ease. Lucas Crane spoke first, his voice grinding across the street like stone. "You're Morrison." Jake said nothing. "They came looking for trouble," Jake finally replied. "I gave them a way out." Daniel Crane laughed, sharp and cruel. 15 against 1. Makes me wonder if you're that good or they were just stupid. Jake didn't bite. "You can ride away," he said. "Same choice I gave them." Lucas's face darkened. "There is no riding away." They widened their angle. Daniel's hand drifted. Jake moved, but sweat betrayed him, a fraction too slow. Daniel fired first. Jake dove as the shot cracked past him, tearing through his vest, burning his ribs. Jake fired back, missed, then struck true. Daniel's leg buckled. Lucas advanced. Jake scrambled behind a water trough as heavy rounds tore through wood, splinters biting into his skin. Water spilled, mixing with blood and dust. He was pinned, wounded, outgunned. 4 shots left, 5. When Lucas paused to reload, Jake charged. Daniel fired twice, one round brushing Jake's ear, another tearing his vest. Then Jake was on him. Steel met bone. Daniel went down. One shot ended it. But the cost came fast. Lucas hit him like a runaway bull. Jake's gun flew. Pain exploded. Fists crushed bone, blood filled his mouth. Hands closed around his throat. The world narrowed. Darkness crept in. Jake's hand found a rock. He swung. Once. Again. Lucas collapsed. Jake crawled, coughed, found his gun. Lucas tried to rise. 2 shots ended it. Silence followed. Jake couldn't stand. Sheriff Matthews emerged, pale and shaken. "I thought you were dead." Jake spat blood and teeth. "Tell the undertaker 2 more coffins." 17. The town watched him with gratitude and terror. Saved by a man they could never welcome. That night blurred into pain and laudanum. 17 stitches, cracked ribs, broken teeth, a crushed throat. Outside, hammers built coffins. 17. 2 days later, Matthews returned. "You're cleared," he said, and the council voted $300. Then came the truth. "You need to leave." Jake understood. He always had. The cure that tasted like poison. He left before sunrise. No goodbyes. Only the sheriff's raised hand. Jake rode west. Toward nowhere. Toward what always waited. And so the legend of *** Jake Morrison, the reaper of Redemption Creek, *** was born. 17 graves. One man. And a truth the frontier never forgot. Some men survive violence. Others become it.